podcasting is on the rise, like 236% in the last 2 years, more podcasters than before. Does this mean that it's oversaturated? No. Let's think about it. It's still in the I think we're at 1.6 million podcasts right now. How many people are you fighting against on social media? Billions? I'll take my 1 in a million chance. It's like a conversation. Podcasts are conversations. We're having this conversation. So it's just what makes it really attractive. So we're going to talk about all the things about having a podcast, being on a podcast, and why podcasting can be a great solution for your business. Welcome to the podcast about podcasting, where you guessed it, we're talking all things podcasting. Whether you are just ready to launch your show, or maybe you're a seasoned podcaster ready to grow and monetize, this podcast is for you. We are talking about the strategy, but beyond that, the mindset it takes to grow a massively successful podcast in this day and age. So if you are ready to take your podcast to the next level and make big bucks, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Jenn Dragonette, so let's dig in. So when we start talking about podcasting, we need to dig down to the foundation and know why. Why do you want to start a podcast? What are the elements of the podcast that you need? And what can you do to make your podcast your biggest asset? Hint, hint, my podcast is like a sales call. My podcast is a way of connecting with other people. It is absolutely my biggest business asset, meaning 95% of my paid business comes from my podcast. Repeat, 95% of my business comes from my podcast. So there's this shift about getting off of social media and listening to a podcast, but why? Why do you want to make that shift? Maybe you are spending hours and hours and hours creating content, and then you're posting it, and you realize that that post is only going to be seen by a certain amount of people for a certain amount of time, and then it's dead. It's like dead in the water, right? You're paddling and you're paddling and you're paddling, and you feel like you're getting nowhere because you're paddling upstream. So everyone tries to use social media to build their business, but using this platform, such as a podcast, actually allows you to boost your confidence, your creativity, allows you to really find yourself and nail down like what you want to be doing, and it allows you to connect with more people. When I say it allows you to find yourself, it's because in podcasting, I don't know many podcasts that haven't changed their name, changed their direction. And guess what? Podcasting is more forgiving than any other platform that I've ever been on. And ask another podcaster if they feel the same way. I can almost guarantee you that they have. So it boosts your ability to get in front of somebody, to become an instant authority. So we're aware that you can be on all these different platforms, and maybe we're thinking it's hard. Maybe, well, you're on Apple, Spotify, Podfriend, the list goes on and on. But what's great is it's really easy to syndicate and get that out to all those different platforms, which means it enhances our chance of being found by the right people. We can also grow our passion, our confidence, and we can seek more information to continue our growth. Because if you're not learning, you're not growing, which your business isn't going to grow if you're not growing. So there's a reason why podcast serves as such an easy medium for learning. It's easy to consume. Maybe you're listening to this in the shower. Maybe you're listening to this on a walk. Maybe you're listening to this at 2 times the speed. You could speed up a podcast so you don't have to listen to us. If you're able to consume at a higher, faster rate, you can speed us up. So it serves a lot of purpose. You can speak unapologetically from your heart with your own point of views without being filtered. So it serves many purposes. One is, again, it's easy to mass communicate all over the world because I post this into my podcast host and it goes out to all of these different platforms. I am hitting every single country in the world with the potential to hear my podcast. And the platform gives you a chance to grow your passion because you really get to show up here unapologetic. It's a totally different animal being a podcaster. Yes, it seems a little scary, but in reality, grabbing the microphone, not having to be live, knowing that your content is going to last for a while, really gives you this like powerful feeling of like, I deserve to be seen and heard. And as women and entrepreneurs, sometimes that's one of the hardest things is, oh, I have this amazing message, but I'm afraid to be seen and heard. I'm afraid to share my voice. What if I don't know enough? What if I do this? And guess what? There's a lot less trolls on podcasting than there are on social media land. It takes a lot more work to leave a 5-star review and an actual like comment review, quote unquote. If you'd love to leave us a review, shameless plug, please leave us a review. We would love it. Tag us on Instagram at myj.dragonette, and I will enter you in a chance to win a free podcast strategy session with me. But moving forward, why podcasting? Again, this is evergreen content. Maybe you're listening to this in 2024. Heck, still tag me. I'm still going to be allowing you to be entered to win those things. But your audience can listen at their convenience. This means that they can be doing whatever. It's not like a webinar. You have to show up at a certain time and then maybe you'll be lucky enough to get a replay, or you have to sit at something that has a video. So it's consuming a lot less of your battery too, folks. So just a little side note there. But you can fast forward, you can reverse, you can go back, you can save it so it stays top of mind. And knowing and planning your content is super helpful because, again, when you're doing a podcast, you don't want it to quite be like a live where you're jilly-jally all over the place. You want to be targeted. You want to talk to your audience like your best friend. And that is good content, good conversation. And that's all about podcasting. Podcasting is about conversation. So again, we talked about how it's easy to consume. Unlike readers, you don't have to put as much focus into consuming a podcast. Unlike people watching movies or videos, you don't have to put as much time. You can just catch their attention while they're in your ear and you're walking around. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of factors in this. But if you are willing to spend 2 hours a week to develop a podcast, a successful podcast, you really can have a podcast. There's ways to, there's shortcuts. Let me tell you, as a manifesting generator in human design, I like shortcuts. I'm all about the shortcuts and I have found a lot of them. But you want to make sure that you speak loud and clear and you sound authentic. Of course, your first few episodes are going to sound like crap because, hey, we got to start somewhere. Launch messy, do the messy thing. And you have to make sure that there's things that you have to do, which is in part of that 2 hours of content. So if you have a 30-minute show, more than likely it's going to take you 2 hours. By the time you plan, record, edit, write your show notes, get it out, if you're planning on being successful, it's going to be about 2 hours of your time a week. But that 2 hours of time is something that's going to be time. And then you talk about, you just have to come up with all the different things. Like you're worried about how long the podcast is. Well, how long do you like to listen to podcasts? And there's so many other factors that come into this. And that's why it's important to like really know your why and what you want. So I want you to just understand that if you're an entrepreneur and you want to start a podcast, or maybe you've launched your podcast, but you're ready to move to the next level, way to go. Like, you want to make sure that you are doing it with intention. And intention comes from understanding how to use a podcast. As I mentioned earlier, podcasting for me has replaced my sales calls. It is my number one way to connect with other humans. And I don't connect by thinking every single human that I connect with is going to be one of my clients. Because I don't expect that. And I don't get sad if they turn me down. But it is such a confidence builder. Such a confidence builder. Because you're constantly asking, do you want to be on my show? And you're going to get a lot more yeses, do you want to be on my show? Then you're going to get no's that, do you want to jump on a sales call? It's just truth. So if you want to talk strategy, if you want to talk about all the things to achieve your goals, the do's and don'ts, you want to make sure that you do speak from your heart, that you understand your values and the values of your company. And you want to make sure that as you're building out your podcast, you have a strategy. Because if you do not have a strategy, in using a podcast. What you're going to do is you're going to post the first 8 episodes. You're going to be sad because you're not getting any audience and any downloads, and then you're going to give up. When if you just launched with the right mindset, the right strategy, and then the right order, you could slowly see your podcast growing. Is this an overnight success? No. But I can also say that you don't need a huge audience to have profits in your business. It's like everything. We have this number metric in our head that keeps telling us like, oh my goodness, we need to have 1 million followers and then we can make money. We need to have $1 million in our bank and then we'd be happy. But what we forget is the mindset of being an entrepreneur is that we have to look at what our success looks like, what we truly want, what your audience wants to listen, and allow your own intuition to fall into your business model. Not every strategy, that's why I love the Perfectly Imperfect Entrepreneur, is that not every strategy, and that's what I'll be teaching in here, is not every strategy is for every business. Not every strategy is for every person. We're all unique. We have unique audiences. We have unique needs. We have unique time restrictions. We have unique gifts. So we have to do it in our own unique way. However, there is a right way to at least set it up and make sure that you are moving forward. There are some pieces of the strategy that you can't skip. Knowing your host, knowing your audience. Those are things you have to know. But it makes it so incredibly easy to consume. It makes you connect with your audience. You're allowed to have calls and get to know potential clients. Or maybe you get to know someone and all of a sudden you become known as whatever it is you're known for. I'm known as for podcasting. And then the next time they talk to somebody, if somebody wants to start a podcast, guess what? You're top of mind because you've just given them an hour of your time to interview them for your podcast. You've just given people the opportunity to get to know you. You've just given people the opportunity to be seen and heard. This is a great way to network and build connection with other people. And you can make these anything you want. You can do a video podcast and then turn it into an audio. You can do all the different things. It is so forgiving. So let's talk about the fact that you don't want to be a podcast host. Can you still use podcasts as an asset for your business? 100%. Have you heard about being a guest appearance? I just kind of told you. So what happens is you're thinking about growing your business. Find someone who has an audience that would be perfect for your business. But don't get on there and be a skeezy salesperson. There is an art of being a profitable guest expert and having a profitable guest appearance on other people's podcasts. But it is a great way to utilize podcasts, whether you are a host or you are just somebody that's looking to utilize podcasts without having to be a host. You 100% can be profitable as being a guest expert. And side note, hint, hint, it is one of the fastest ways to grow your audience is to borrow someone else's audience. So the tip is get them on your show, have an amazing interview, and upload it, and then allow them to share. Share, because sharing is caring in this case. And as you grow, you see their guests and their tribe come into your tribe, the ones that fit you. But remember, we're not everyone's cup of tea, and we don't want to be everyone's cup of tea. So, no, guest appearances play a major role in your podcast growth, or if you don't have a podcast, your business growth. So you can also get growth from social media, there will be an episode about that, but it is very, very limited, I believe, because at a certain point, you're not growing as fast as getting in front of a whole entire audience of people that are your people. Right? So it catches a good light. Again, that instant authority. And the algorithm for all of those social platforms, man, some days I feel like it likes me, some days I don't. And I know that it's my strategy and my content and I could work on that more. But my jam is podcasting because it has given me everything I've needed in my business. You can use it, again, podcasting can just be for entertainment. Maybe you don't even want a podcast for business. You want to entertain people. Great. you're still getting out there. You're still getting your voice heard. It's all about being heard. You can also change, like I said, you can use them and change them into so much content. There's so much content that can be built from these. So what am I saying is that podcasting is all about building connections. It's the most important part of podcasting. Who do you want to connect to? Are they students, teachers, entrepreneurs, people that are struggling with weight loss, people that are struggling with mindset issues, people that just need to calm the heck down and need to get into meditation? It allows them to connect with you in a different way because you can really teach from here. You can really preach from here. You can really guide people from here. And it's an evergreen playlist. Your content lasts forever. So yeah, I mean, podcasting is the best way to build confidence, to make those connections in your business. It makes you trustworthy. It makes you feel like an authority. Have I convinced you yet that podcasting is a good thing? Or at least being a special guest is a good thing? But it allows you to easily connect and self-promote. But again, I'm telling you, you have to self-promote with the right strategy, or you will just be that skeezy car salesperson that you try to avoid. So let this be an introduction to you of how to be catchy and powerful and use your voice, and know that appearance, your podcast, is an extension of your personality. Have those thoughts. Keep going. Do all the things that you want to do. But own who you are unconditionally. Tell all of your listeners in your podcast the truth about why and who and what, and your own clarity in your journey. It is critical that you understand your why, that you understand your audience, and that you are willing to shed everyone else's BS and be who you are to be successful in podcasting, or to show up as a podcast guest that doesn't repel people. Because if you come on and you just preach and sell, that's just not going to work either, right? So let's keep the conversation going. You can hit me up over on Instagram at j.dragonette, or reach out. We are here for you. The Pie Tribe is here for you. I want to know all the things all the questions. I'm here to answer your questions. What questions do you have about starting podcast? Because I don't want this to be complicated. I want to make podcasting easy to understand. I want to make it fun and exciting and playful and pleasurable and profitable. So ask away. I am here for you. The use of podcasting is beyond anything that I ever could have imagined. Being able to have a podcast, again, it's my biggest asset. 95% of my sales come from my podcast. Boom, mic drop. That could be the end of the episode. So why? Why are you just struggling and circling on social media? And why have you not used podcasting in some form to grow your business? So I will see you next week. Make it a great day, because you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are enough, and you are perfectly imperfect.